Okay, welcome to this video on Generali. It is the 2nd of February down here. We can see the 2nd of February. So let's do our best and let's try to understand what is happening with the price action on Generali. Before I kick things off, I wanted to draw your attention to eToro. In the comments, you'll find my link, my referral link. And if you wanted to open an account, if you don't already have one, and you use my link, I get $200. So let me know and I'll send you half of that amount. Don't know what that is in euros. $100. Okay. The reason why I like eToro is because the commissions are really low when you trade. I think it's just maybe €1 or €2. And there's no maintenance fee. So a lot of these big banks, you have to pay a quarterly or a yearly maintenance fee. So that's one way around it. Okay, so remember, top comment, that is my link, and we'll go halves on any reward I get from them. So let's get into this. So this is tradingview.com. You can create an account on TradingView, or you can just log in with your Google or your Apple, whatever you got. Okay, so you don't actually have to create the account. You can get into it this way. Works well on the app, but I prefer the web version because it's bigger. You get a nice overview, you get all the financials. So very clever people understand all these numbers here and they can analyze them to the heart's content. Fantastic. But what I do is I prefer to do the technical analysis. Call this TA, technical analysis. Here we go. Let's make this bigger. Right, so actually let me just hide these trend lines at the moment. There we go. Okay, so here we go. If you travel back in time, you can connect the bottoms all the way back to November 2024. So it's quite a good trend line. It tends to hit the trend line. Didn't quite hit it there. It hit the trend line there and bounced up. It hit it there, bounced up. Didn't quite do it there, and it kind of did it there. I'd like to pay attention to the most recent time that it touched the trend line. It almost went down below it. So I don't know what was happening on the 27th of January. That was not a good day. But the next day, it went above it. Okay, so you have to be careful here. If the price falls below the trend line, and then there's another day where it's below the trend line, that's then confirmed. Okay, it starts to look quite bad. Although it's not impossible for it then to get back to the trend line at a later date, but it's time to think about your risk when you get to that position. So this is what I've noticed here. Price is going up, up, up. However, we can see other things. Let me put these trend lines back again. We can see other things here. So here was a previous zone that marked an all-time high. There it struggled to get through it. There it just blazed through it and crashed back down through it. Same thing goes here. Here it touched it there, it touched it there, fell down but recovered, touched it and touched it. So that tells me there that the buyers and the sellers are very active. So at the moment that could be a nice level of support. We need to remember that one, okay? Then same goes here. It banged its head, it banged on the roof there, banged there, banged there. There's quite a bit of chopping around there. And then today, that's where we are today. So let's zoom in and see what is happening today. Well, would you look at that? That's why I love technical analysis so much. Let me explain. So look at this candle here. During the day, it got as high as this level here. Okay, but it actually closed the day right on the trend line. So again, it suggests that there's a bit of a battle there between the buyers and the sellers. The buyers and the sellers are fighting there. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so let's think about a few scenarios. Scenario 1 is happy days. It breaks through and it's off to the moon. Fantastic. Scenario 2 is it comes down and then it tests it again. Okay, so you might get a bit of chop here and then it could go up. That might happen. The other scenario is no, it's rejected. So sellers are winning in this scenario and it hits this trend line here, touches it a bit and then off it goes again. And then the other scenario is, oh no, it gets rejected, hits the trend line, crashes down from the trend line, and then gets held up in this kind of support zone here. Okay. People often say to me, well, Alistair, what price is a good price? Or what price should I sell? No, don't look at the price, look at the trend line. If it crosses this trend line and confirms the next day, I would be tempted just to sell. Okay, there are lots of opportunities on the stock market these days, on the commodities market. So I wouldn't feel loyal. I wouldn't feel any remorse. I would just sell. That's just me. Okay, you have to take your own decision. So that's the way it's looking at the moment. One other thing we could do, but it's not fantastic. I have been playing around with some Fibonacci levels. Not too fantastic. You could say there's a rough kind of correlation there. You could say it's like a train. It's going through a train. So you might expect it to go somewhere here and then down. When will that happen? I can't tell you. I don't think anyone can tell you that. No one's got a crystal ball. But you might expect it to interact with this sort of invisible train track up there. It went through it. You know, it did go through it on previous occasions. There especially, it did go through it. Yeah, who knows? I don't think it's important. I really don't think that's important. I think this is important here. So if it breaks that zone there, that's when you need to think about selling. And of course, you can extend that out into the future. Okay, so it's valid until it's not valid. So yeah, from a TA perspective, that looks good to me. That looks nice. Earnings coming up on March. I haven't got a clue what's happening there. It's sunrise earnings, so before the market opens. We'll see what happens. But at the moment, I think that's a nice buy. And if you own shares, yeah, I wouldn't think about selling them because, like I say, that for me there, that's the zone you might think about selling. But right now, absolutely no need to panic. Okay, hope that helped.